Well, 24 hours after the Ottawa Senators named their DJ Smith their head coach, we gather for another Senators panel today with special guest Terry Marcotte of CTV Ottawa and Don Brennan of Post Media. Guys, I guess we should start with your initial reaction to the hiring of DJ Smith. We'll start with you, Don.
Well, I was surprised. This to me was Dan Sagan asked the question yesterday about it being a budget hire. He said that's the reaction on social media, and I thought so too. I think that was a fair question. I mean, we've all sort of heard about the issues that they've had financially. We're aware of them, and DJ Smith to me was the cheapest guy that you could get. It was a DJ who I think throughout most of the region, I don't think a lot of people could have picked him out in a crowd. And, he's a first chance guy. Let's give him a first chance, which is sort of keeping in place with what they've been doing over the years. I mean, you can rhyme off all the guys they've hired. There's been 10 coaches under this current ownership, and I think 7 of them now, or 6 of them are first chance guys. One of them, I like the guy. I like the way he came across, but I'm a little bit concerned another first chance guy.
What I liked about the hiring of DJ Smith, it's out of the box. I think to go with Patrick Waugh or Jacques Martin or Mark Craw, you're going with guys who have been there, done that. They have their way of doing things. I like the idea of giving a young guy a fresh start, give him an opportunity. And being a guy who's almost 60 years old, I look at younger people. There's an energy that younger people bring that guys like us may not have because we're kind of set on our ways. And I like the idea of someone 42 years old, coming along and just putting that kind of energy into what he's doing. And he's got lots to prove, and he's got an opportunity to do it. I like the hire.
Well, you can speak for yourself on the energy front. I know him and I don't agree with that, okay?
Well, you're younger, too. You're younger
because you're almost 60. Don't put us all in that group.
You're older than me, so.
Well, I look at the situation now, and what do you guys feel? DJ Smith has a lot of work to do. And you look at that depth chart right now, you guys, and there's a lot of holes to fill. There's a lot of decisions to be made. There aren't many veteran players. But what do you guys feel are the priorities for DJ Smith? Let's start with you on this one, Terry.
Well, he made a good point yesterday. He said when he arrived to Toronto 4 years ago, it was a last-place team. And I liked what Toronto did. They just scraped it down to the bone, and then they started over. And that's what they're doing in Ottawa. They've gotten rid of lots of really talented hockey players, some really good assets. They've scraped it down to the bone. They've got some building blocks. And right now, I think his main task, I mean, winning games. I mean, who cares right now how many games they win? I think what he has to do is properly develop players. And, if he does that and they're a last-place team again, I don't think people really – but you've got to take those young assets and develop them properly. And if he can do that and start to build a culture of winning, I think he's done a good job.
Don, my sense is DJ Smith has got to give those young players opportunities to play in big situations. And maybe I've got that wrong, but, guys have to be on the penalty kill. They have to be on the power play. And he can't stray from that. And one of the things I think that Guy Boucher sometimes did was he leaned on veteran players in situations where management absolutely wanted the young players to play.
I think that Guy Boucher got to a point where, he wanted to make sure he did everything he could to increase his chances of winning. That was the most important part. He got away, I think, from the development. He was concerned about his own record, his own future, and I don't blame him. I would be too. DJ Smith, maybe as a younger guy, not our age, Terry, but as a younger guy, he can, he's been given the 3-year deal, and he can, he has a long-term plan. He can focus on the development part, I think. But to get back to your other question about what he needs to improve on and what he needs to work with, work on, I think it's the defensive part of the game. That's been a problem in Ottawa for many years now, and it seems like hundreds. And, that's what his strong suit is. I think that, that maybe didn't get as much publicity as is the case. But I think the defensive part of the game has to improve in Ottawa.
Well, you look at Mike Babcock when he was hired by the Leafs, and he came in, there was absolutely no pressure on him to win games. Mike Babcock was Mike Babcock. He came in and, couple of years right off, sure. He didn't have to worry about his job. I hope the same holds true for DJ Smith. I hope there's not pressure on him to show, hey, we're winning games. I hope the pressure is on him to develop players and do it properly. And if that's the case, I think he'll be all right.
Well, the final point we want to make on the hiring of DJ Smith is he's got to put a staff together. And there seems to be as Don, you pointed to them being better defensively. Does he have to have a former defenseman on his staff? Let's start with you on this one, Terry.
Yeah, I think a former defenseman, absolutely. And I'd love to see Chris Kelly brought back. Chris Kelly showed so much promise. I mean, we knew him as a player and a bright guy, a personable guy. People get along with, and I think Chris Kelly absolutely should be part of a staff, and I think they should have a former NHL defenseman. I know DJ Smith played defense, but I think having somebody to work and groom the defenseman, another necessity for the Ottawa Senators.
I think that, we all love Chris Kelly. We all think that that's going to be a guy that could have a real good career as a coach in the NHL for all his attributes. A point that was made to me recently by a friend is DJ Smith doesn't know Chris Kelly. And when you have a job, when you finally get your chances as an NHL head coach, you want to surround yourself with guys that you know. So I don't know. I asked him if he's going to talk to Chris Kelly. He says, yeah, he likes everything he's heard about Chris Kelly. But at the end of the day, I think he wants to go with a guy that he knows, or guys that he knows. And I think, and this is again stealing an idea of or a thought of somebody that we know, JR at TSN 1200, but he suggested the name Bob Boughner. And Bob Boughner is a guy that coached as the head coach with DJ in Windsor, and they won 2 Memorial Cups together. So I wouldn't be surprised. Bob Boughner now is on the unemployment line, I believe.
Yeah, I think the only thing with Boughner is, and I don't disagree, he'll talk to Boughner because I absolutely think Boughner will be a candidate, but I think Boughner is probably sitting there going, I might sit back here, I'm a head coach, wait and see what happens in San Jose, right? Because San Jose is now a fluid situation because they only got to the third round. But there's an awful lot of heat in San Jose on Pete DeBoer, and maybe 20 games in the next season, Pete DeBoer is on the hot seat. But yeah, Boughner is absolutely a good thought.
Could I just say one more thing too? And it's it bothered me. It bothered me a little bit yesterday at the press conference, and it still bothers me that he didn't give an interview to Bradshaw. I disagree with that. There's got to be a reason. But Bradshaw, everything you've heard about Bradshaw, and again, a defensive guy, he's done wonders in Columbus. He had a job for a long time in St. Louis. He's got the great Ottawa ties. Not that matters, but I think that Bradshaw would have been certainly worthy of an interview at least.
Well, I think they're concerned about Bradshaw. It was that they had been down that road before, and they interviewed him in the last round of interviews, and I think their belief was they didn't want to interview him if they had no intentions of hiring him. And if he was passed over for the job once, just like they passed over Mike Yeo, and they weren't going to go down that road again either. For Post Media, I'm Bruce Garriock with Don Brennan and Terry Marcotte of CTV Ottawa.